Okay, we're live. Good morning, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of It Takes a Village, brought to you by the Guam Homeless Coalition. This informational webinar series aims to highlight the different members of the Guam Homeless Coalition and all the great work that they do for our island community. So today we have with us the team from the Public Defender Service Corporation, also known as PDSC. As public servants, the Public Defender Service Corporation exists to provide effective legal assistance to those unable to afford private counsel, thereby ensuring equal protection of their lawful rights in accordance with prescribed ethics, laws, rules, and regulations. Their vision is to maintain a dynamic, efficient, client-focused environment for both their clients, and employees while defending justice and equality for the people of Guam. Now, before they begin, we just want to let you know that if you have any questions or comments, please type them into the chat if you're in the Zoom, or into the live comment section if you're watching with us on YouTube Live, and we'll address those at the end of their presentation. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to PDSC. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, good morning, Jackie. Hi, this is Stephen Hattori. I'm the current Executive Director for the Public Defender Service Corporation, and we'd really like to thank the Guam Homeless Coalition for really hosting this It Takes a Village shareholder series. It's a great service to the people of Guam, and it's really a great service for other shareholders like our office, so we can learn what services are available for our clients. So we really appreciate your office inviting us to present. Okay. And, this really, it takes a village, right? It's a concept that we really take to heart at this office. And we hope that by the end of our presentation, we'll be able to explain that in greater detail. I mean, I know personally our clients have benefited greatly from our involvement with the Guam Homeless Coalition and the many stakeholders and member organizations that belong to the coalition. So much thanks on behalf of our clients. And at this time, we want to share information about who we are, what we do, and how our collaborations really benefit our clients and help our communities. Once again, my name is Stephen Hattori. I'm the Executive Director here at the Public Defender Service Corporation. I'm joined with Carol Hinkle Sanchez here, who's the head of our Civil Law Center. We also have Rose Regis, who is our social worker, and Jessica Lee, our senior law clerk with our Civil Law Center, will also be present to explain what the Civil Law Center does and the services they provide, as well as Tina Martinez, who's our special coordinator with the Civil Law Center, who will be talking about the Advocacy Center and the protective and restraining orders that we seek on behalf of our clients. Then finally, we'll hear from our social worker, Rose Regis, who we kind of stole away from CPS, but really has brought incredible value to our organization and really benefited our clients in a different way than she had done previously. So I'll provide a brief history, background of the corporation to include our mission statement, our vision, philosophy, our current leadership, and our divisions. Then we'll talk briefly about our PDSC criminal defense cases and services. Then our Civil Law Center will take over and discuss both the Elder Justice Center, the Advocacy Center, and also the general legal services they provide. Finally, Rose will then talk about holistic legal services, and then we'll provide our contact information and open up the floor to any questions. Now, if you have questions along the way, just feel free to, I think you could type them into a chat box, or someone's monitoring it on YouTube. So submit the questions and we'll try to answer them at the end of the presentation. Now, the PDSC, right, was we've performed, a constitutional right to counsel, right, for those who are unable to afford it. This is based on a 1963 U.S. Supreme Court decision, Gideon versus Wainwright, the landmark U.S. Supreme Court decision in which the court ruled that the Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution requires U.S. states to provide attorneys to criminal defendants who are unable to afford their own. And this year we celebrate the 60th anniversary of this decision. In 1972, the Public Defender Service Corporation. Well, there wasn't a Public Defender Service Corporation. The right to counsel was provided under the Department of Public Health and Social Services Judicare program. That began in September of 1968. It initially consisted of a single public defender, an attorney, one legal secretary, an investigator, and one general helper. So it was a very small program, and it was actually housed at Public Health. In 1975, through Public Law 1351, the Public Defender Service Corporation was created. It was originally conceived to render legal advice and counseling and representation in criminal, juvenile, and civil matters. So originally, public defenders provided attorneys for, of course, criminal cases, which we're familiar with, but also civil cases like divorces, probates, and wills, and other civil matters, which is really unique for public defenders offices nationwide, right? And in 2021, right, Public Law 3619 authorized the creation of the Elder Justice Center, which we'll discuss later. And it also allowed us to seek grants and enter MOUs to provide civil legal services to indigents of Guam or other clients, depending on the grant requirements. So some grants we receive don't have an income requirement, but so we're able to help people in those things. And so I mean, in the past, and I really want to get back there someday. We help people with probate matters, domestic divorce, and custody. Everyone knows that custody is a flashpoint in relationships, and it could lead to domestic violence, right? So if we can get people a custody agreement that's acceptable to everyone, we believe we can prevent crime, especially domestic violence, right? We also did bankruptcy, immigration, keeping families together, and even civil legal defense. However, a moratorium in 1968, prevented us from continuing representation in most civil matters. And now we are trying to restore it through the Civil Law Center, headed by Carol Hinkle Sanchez, and we're we're retaking ground inch by inch and hopefully foot by foot. And here, we want to go over our mission statement. As public servants, the Public Defender Service Corporation exists to provide effective legal assistance to those unable to afford private counsel, thereby ensuring equal protection of their lawful rights in accordance with prescribed ethics, laws, rules, and regulations. I guess the mission statement we developed after I think it was right, we had Kathy Moreland knows the answer to this. But we basically had an office-wide retreat and developed a strategic plan, and that was the mission statement that came out of it. And it also led to us to have, our vision, right, is to maintain a dynamic, efficient, client-focused environment for both our clients and employees while defending justice and equality for the people of Guam. And so all that is like, really tech talk for what our mission and vision statement is. And so I try to boil it down to something that I could understand. And so I came up with this, every client is someone's father, mother, brother, sister, son, or daughter, and they all deserve equal representation, whether they can afford it or not. So this simple quote really reduces our mission and vision statement into something that everyone hopefully can understand, right? And these are our clients, right? Every client we have, we don't represent criminals on the PDSC side, we represent clients, and these clients are someone's father, mother, brother, sister, son, or daughter, right? So by law, PDSC has a board of trustees entrusted with the governance of this corporation. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is the chairman. Currently, this is Chief Justice Robert J. Torres. The presiding judge of the Superior Court is the vice chairman. This is presiding judge Alberto C. Lamarana III. The president of the Guam Bar is also a member. This is Attorney Jacqueline Terlai, who's the current Guam Bar president. The fourth and fifth seats are appointed by the Chief Justice of Guam. And so we're fortunate to have Mrs. Donna Kanata and Dr. Christiana Whitman as our two public members appointed by uh, Justice Torres. And here's the leadership for our three offices. Of course, I'm the current executive director for public defenders. We also house the administrative functions for the corporation. We have our administrative director, uh, Kathy Angogwi, and then we have a deputy director, basically runs our attorneys division at the office, and he's basically the second in command over at our office. We have our conflict firm, the alternate public defender. And so when we have a conflict in a criminal case or a protective order case or whatever case we have a conflict in, the alternate public defender is the next defense firm that's appointed. And so the managing attorney is Anne-Marie Gale. And then, we have here our Civil Law Center managing attorney, Carol Hinkle Sanchez, who's been with us about, 9 months now, but it seems like she's done incredible things in the short time she's been there. And we look forward to, her leadership in the future. And so again, we're mainly a publicly funded legal office. Originally, the Public Defender Service Corporation was 100% funded by the general fund. However, we do have civil legal services, the Civil Law Center, and it'll be explained later that they're funded by federal grants. But we have local Monumco, and we have local victims of domestic violence, and at some point we are going to require local funding to take care of our people, right? And so PDSC has three basic divisions. We have the Public Defender Service Corporation, we have the Alternate Public Defender Service Corporation, alternate public defenders, and then we have the Civil Law Center. Each of these three are separate entities, but they all fall under the public defender umbrella. Between these three divisions, we have 22 attorneys, 16 at PDSC, 5 at alternate public defender, and 2.5 at the Civil Law Center. The Public Defender Service Corp, we have 16 attorneys, but currently we only have like 13, I think. So we have some openings. Altogether, we have about 78 staff among the three offices. And so what services do we provide? Here at the Public Defender, PDSC and APD, we provide criminal defense. We are appointed to represent individuals charged with criminal misdemeanors and felonies who financially qualify for our services. These are court-appointed cases. We also do involuntary commitments, like if someone is going to be committed to the custody of Guam Behavioral Health because they're a danger to themselves or others, we've been appointed to represent those patients. We represent parties in juvenile PINS cases. Those are person in needs of service cases involving CPS, and also juvenile delinquency cases. We also handle criminal and domestic juvenile appeals. And we've been appointed recently to start representing respondents in protective orders. So you'll hear later about how the Civil Law Center will be seeking protective orders on behalf of people. Here on the PDSC side, we may be appointed to represent the defendants or the respondents in those protective orders to protect their interests. But I think it's very valuable to also have an attorney advising respondents because they're like a buffer as well. And I think it's an additional layer of protection to ensure that the parties remain civil, right? It's very important for defendants to know their rights so that they don't feel completely hopeless and do things that are really dangerous, right? So that's why it's very important for us to represent respondents in protective orders as well, so that they're not just feeling hopeless and acting basically in dangerous manners, right? And then I don't know if you guys remember during the pandemic, right? Every traveler in Guam was housed at the hotel. So at that point, we were appointed to represent individuals who were detained at quarantine facilities without their consent. And so we represented many travelers in those cases. Now, to qualify, an individual must financially qualify and there must be no conflict of interest. All right. Uh, I'll show you the financial eligibility chart in the next slide. But as far as conflict of interest, APD will handle it if there is a conflict of interest. So you will get an attorney if we cannot represent you. And conflicts are easy to explain. It's like if there is a case with multiple defendants, we cannot represent all the defendants because they have interests, a conflicting interest. So we would represent one defendant, APD would represent another, and then the private attorney panel would represent others. Sometimes one of our criminal clients is a victim in another criminal case, and in those cases would that also creates a conflict. So APD would get appointed to cases in which we have conflicts. Here at PDSC, we aim to provide holistic legal services, right? And so what that means is we don't want to just resolve your criminal case because we recognize that much crime is related to poverty and a lack of resources. And if we can help our client get on their feet, then perhaps it decreases the possibility of crime in the future, right? And so we try to restore dignity as we reduce crime. And our social worker, Rose Regis, will elaborate a little later on this. And this table really just reflects our current financial eligibility guidelines. These were just passed by our board in October. And so if you look at it, like if you're a single person making less than $33,540, then you would qualify for the appointment of counsel if you're charged with a criminal offense, or if you want to benefit from one of our programs at the Civil Law Center. It basically converts to about $16 an hour if you work full time. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, the PDSC is mandated to represent indigents in both criminal and civil matters. I've discussed the criminal side, and now the civil side is now housed within a separate division, the Civil Law Center, and it has a separate head, Carol Hinkle Sanchez, who's here with us today. And so I'll turn it over to Carol and her team, Jessica Lee and Christina Martinez, to discuss the Civil Law Center. And so Carol or Tina and Jessica, just let me know and then I'll advance the slide when you wanted to move forward, okay? Thank you.
I think that's my cue, I think. So yes, we are the Civil Law Center. We are under Public Defender. So under our general services, these are the services that we provide under the Civil Law Center. Primarily the Guam War Claims Probate Administration. This is both federal and local war claims for heirs, which is the children typically of Guam War victims who have passed away before they're able to receive their war claim awards. There's no age or income requirement. As long as you are an heir, you are eligible for our services. We also assist with guardianship over minor children, guardianship in general, and release of loved ones' bodies. There is an income requirement, just as Director Stephen Torrey had mentioned in the previous slide. The process is to come visit our office, provide your income, we determine your income eligibility, and then we can move forward from there with the services to provide. Next slide, please.
Yeah, but is that a little tricky though? Like if you're 60 or older, you can get a guardianship over a minor, right?
That's correct.
With regardless of income?
Yes, with the Elder Justice Center, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, and so historically our office provided much more services, including, like I said earlier, domestic, child custody, immigration, bankruptcy. I mean, we're never gonna, it'll be a long time before we get there, but eventually the Civil Law Center will house additional general legal services.
Thank you. So under the Elder Justice Center is the legal assistance program that was created in partnership with the Department of Public Health and Social Services under the Division of Senior Citizens. Between that office as well as the Guam State of Aging, as well as the Public Defender Service Corporation. We began providing services for seniors 60 and above starting in March of 2021 as a pilot program. We became an official permanent entity within the government of Guam in October of 2021, which means that under Title 3B services, under the Older American Act, we can provide legal assistance to those who are 60 years and older. We are also able to assist seniors 55 to 59, as Guam law dictates that a senior citizen's age is 55 and older. Some of the services we provide for this Elder Justice Center is primarily basic estate planning. This is your last will and testament, your advanced medical directives such as a power of attorney or a living will. We also assist seniors who are tenants who are being wrongfully convicted out of their housing. We also assist with guardianship over minor grandchildren as specified in our grant requirements. We also assist with medical overbilling. Next slide, please. So the process for EJC is there is a required form by the Division of Senior Citizens. It's called an IPR intake form. That is a required document pursuant to our federal program, federal requirements. So you can either visit our website at www.guamejc.org or pick up forms at our office and complete them there. Once completed, our staff will conduct a legal intake process, which is an interview to confirm that the forms that are completed are in completion, as well as ensuring that the documents that were completed are what the senior citizen wants. Once that is completed, it is then forwarded to our case number assignment per our federal grant requirements, and then to the secretary for drafting. Once drafted, an appointment is then scheduled with an attorney. The client will then meet with the attorney, and once the client is ready to sign, they will sign and take all original documents with them. Next slide.
I was wondering, do you currently have like a wait list or anything, or
There is no wait list at this time.
what's the time frame for
It depends on the number of services the senior requests. Typically, we can get a power of attorney within 2 weeks.
I was just going to say also, Steve, if I can just mention that we also take into consideration if there's like emergency or crisis situations, and we can expedite that process and assist them as soon as possible. So sometimes the turnaround rate is 1 day.
Yeah, you guys are incredible because you also go out in the field if the senior is not is bedridden, right? Or
That's correct.
okay, or the hospital if they're
Yes, the
in
hospital as
critical
well.
condition. Okay,
Mhm.
great.
And so we're going to turn it over to our Advocacy Center with Ms. Christina Martinez to present.
Okay. The Advocacy Center. The Advocacy Center provides quality legal assistance to victims and survivors of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. The Advocacy Center provides no-cost legal advice and services for individuals needing assistance with obtaining civil protective and restraining orders. There is no income requirement. Services focus on adults and youth aged 11 to 24, women and girls who are victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. This does not exclude men who are victims in need and request services. Applicants must be screened for conflict of interest. Requests for services must fall within the scope of allowable activities. These programs are funded by various Stop Violence Against Women grants and the ICJR grant, which is the Improving Criminal Justice Responses to Domestic Violence, Sexual Assault, Dating Violence, and Stalking. Additional gap funding is provided by the American Rescue Plan Act. Next slide. Okay, and our process is step 1, visit or contact our office. Step 2, meet or talk with an advocate for screening, interview, and safety planning. We will connect with the client. If we connect the client to services such as emergency housing, counseling, and the Guam Police Department. Step 3, case review by an attorney, then counsel and advice between the attorney and client. Step 4, a petition is filed for restraining order or protective order if necessary. Step 5 is to attend court for an order to show cause hearing, evidentiary hearing, and it is up to the court to decide to grant or deny the petition. These orders can last as long as the parties agree or up to 5 years. For protective order. Civil restraining orders can last much longer. Rose Rages will address the next slide regarding holistic services.
Can I just add to this as well before it goes on to the next slide? Most of these clients are walk-ins, so any victims of sexual assault, family violence, stalking, they can walk into the office. We're open from 8 to 12 and then reopened 1 to 5. So again, they can just do a walk-in. A lot of times they're directed by the Guam Police Department or the Attorney General's office and referred over. So if they walk in, we will entertain them as well.
Yeah, and so you guys say, how this is it takes a village. You guys really take that approach, right, with your representation of victims, right? In terms of like you have a victim advocate that ensures that they have safe housing and access to the home if they need the home or their possessions, right? So you guys do like a
That's
whole
correct.
wraparound, and you
That's
guys
correct.
will
That's correct. We do referrals. We do contact agencies to follow up on the status on their end, such as the victims advocate from the AG's office to see what's going on. But we also do in our protective orders include temporary orders that involve whatever needs to happen for safety and stability of that individual, such as temporary custody, temporary use of the house or vehicle. Those are all within the statute. So if those are things that need to be addressed in the court, they will be correct.
Okay, great. Is that... And now Rose Rages will introduce the next slide.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Rose Rages. I am a social worker, but the holistic legal services that falls with Public Defender Service Corporation. Well, there's a holistic defense initiative. As a part of its strategic plan, PDSC implemented its holistic defense initiative, and in August 2020, hired PDSC's first social worker, which is me. My background is in child welfare, 20 years at Child Protective Services. And when this was brought to me, my attention from Public Defender, I was eagerly wanting to do something beyond the fact for in the population in criminal defense. So I took the next step in the first leap. In the process of holistic defense, it's identifying more of a client-centered interdisciplinary advocacy model of public defense that address the circumstances that drive people in the criminal justice system, the consequences of that involvement. In part of advocating for our clients, it involves myself and other collaborators to work with our clients to assess their needs and also empower them to come back to the community and have a better outcome in coming back to the community. So by working with the attorneys, I am part of the team. Working outside of them, the attorneys evaluate to address the psychosocial factors that may be contributing to the client's present legal issues, which I help the clients assess the reasons and the circumstances of what brought them to commit the crime or alleged to commit the crime, giving the client more humanized, approach to the court system, identifying them of their worth, and beyond the fact that it's just not in the court, but also what happens out of the court, and that's part of my role here, is to advocate and break the barriers and navigate the clients through the process of coming back to their relationship with their families, coming back to the community, finding jobs, sustaining their stability, and becoming independent and being part of the community. And also in part of that, I refer the clients out to the community partners, service providers, which is such a big thing because with the Guam Homeless Coalition, we have many entities of individuals and agencies and nonprofit organizations that are all willing to meet that mission to prevent poverty and also homelessness in our island. And that in part is one of the biggest population is my population of clients and the defendants that we represent, extending to their family as well. I connect the clients with vital resources, including housing, mental health, treatment programs. Lack of transportation is always an issue for our clients to comply with the courts. And so getting that resources and getting them to their appointments and treatment is all due to transportation issues. So that is also one factor that I would reach out to our colleagues or my colleagues and partnerships with the providers that provide that process. Helping obtain essential documents such as their IDs, passports, things that may have been misplaced or damaged through the fact of most of our clients are street homeless and a lot of their belongings have been stolen or have been dismissed by the fact that when they get arrested, the last known part of their arrest was they left their bag behind. Also in part of that to eliminate the barriers which defeats the stability of process, reducing the recidivism, finding the core to why they come back to commit these alleged crimes until our clients are proven guilty, then we are still representing them and getting them through the process in their pretrial process. In that part, uncovering the stories of these individuals and their families, building a rapport with my clients is one crucial thing that takes a lot of time, and which also the attorneys have their part in the legal aspect of it all. As a social worker, advocacy is one of the best pillar of our ethical ways of social work. Speaking, being the voice for our clients, and for those who are not ready to speak, we are the ones who go in there and talk to the providers, give them an opportunity to get our clients into the door, of even employing them, giving them a second chance. In part of that, housing is one of the crucial part, is that people tend to divert from our clients who were identified as criminally charged. They don't get often looked at in regards to placement. Getting our clients into shelters is also a factor. So my advocacy is the greatest strength for them, excuse me, in regards to opening that dynamics and providing that holistic approach to it all. In that essence is building relationships with their families, finding out what their needs are while our clients are in incarceration and waiting for their motion in their hearing, is finding out that, an example, our client may be the sole provider of a family, and I have a mother who is a housewife, and the fact that they have 8 kids, they're about to nearly be put out and put out in the streets because they need to pay for their rent. A lot of them are jeopardized by the Family Violence Act, where if there's any family violence, sometimes things are taken out of context and they are in that dire need of urgency of being, put out on the street. So those factors also comes out too, and also connecting them with public assistance. A lot of times the families are deterred away from being eligible for public assistance due to their history with crime. I will mention that in the next segment in regards to our accomplishment with that. And in all part, with connecting and collaborating, direct services, reaching out to our community partners and making referrals. And as far as it, I am the only social worker, so case management as much as I can to really focus on our clients' needs, and also what we can do for the community, and ensuring that the safety measures are there, and getting our clients the rehabilitation and treatment. That is one crucial thing to provide that at best of an outcome for our community. In part, we do outreaches. We participate in the PID count with Guam Homeless Coalition, Passport to Service. We do all types of outreaches for the community with our community partners, share the reciprocity of helping and supporting one another in their mission. Also providing just the support system again for the clients, and getting them involved in their or reunification of when their children are removed from CPS, Child Protective Services. I'm utilized at the juvenile side to ensure to guide the clients and navigate them through their service plan agreement before their parental rights are terminated. I become a part of the IEP of the children's portion of our clients who are under juvenile delinquency. I do RAP meetings. I participate in multidisciplinary meetings in all parts of our clients, whether the adult, whether juvenile, and also in essence with one of our accomplishment, like I mentioned earlier, in regards to public assistance. Public Defender was invited to be a part of the drug felon ban initiative with, of course, Public Health and Social Services was a lead on this in regards to that. Guam was one of the segment territory that was denying public assistance access for criminals who have already done their time, and they weren't eligible to participate in those programs. Our basic need is food, shelter, and that's one thing that keeps our people out in the streets, is the fact that also they weren't able to apply and get themselves at least a moment of standing on their feet and getting stability. So within that, there was a bill, it was called by Bill 20-37, Public Law 37-24, which was passed, I believe, this year, mid-2023. And that now makes our clients who have served their time and who are pending some criminal charges to be able to given a second chance to be able to apply for these public assistance and access them, and until they can get themselves through training and job sites. In that part as well is with the partnerships that we have with West Care, Salvation Army, Guam Behavioral, Lighthouse Recovery Centers, New Beginning. I mean, I can go on, and I don't want to miss anybody, but for those who are there to serve our community, thank you. I would not be able to help our clients without the help of your partnership. It's a humbling and very respectable coalition, Guam Homeless Coalition, as well as the Coalition Against Sexual Violence and Family Violence. We're all here to help one another. Like I said, it's just justice has nothing to do with what goes on in the courtroom, but is what goes on in the outcome of the courtroom. And that's where we want to come to, is that I hope I could bring in social workers and students who also have helped with part of that initiative of the no ban. They did their research and also became part of that policy. That also, for the most part, is I have two cases that I wanted to mention and say thank you to, is the Guam Homeless Coalition again, West Care, for helping me get two of my clients, our clients, defendants off island to their families. They weren't part of Guam. They wanted to go closer to their families. So with that initiative and the help of the courts, we were able to get these two individuals to their families and back to more where there was more support for them, and it was a better outcome for them. So that's some accomplished that I have put in and helping our clients here at Public Defender, and also in the fact that we also have we presented a resource Wednesday, and that was with the collaboration of Manetlu, Mycross, a Project Akuti, all falls under that, in helping us bring the resources back onto our area in our office and our front ring, where our clients would come who are may have been on monitors or on third-party custodials, or on house arrest, that won't be able to go out to these other agencies to apply for services. We brought those services to our office and help with that, and helping them apply and helping them get their IDs and public assistance and Medicare and all the needed associated in part of their day-to-day and independence. In that essence too, is that with that resources, they were able to be more comfortable with these partners, and being now more educated in regards to where these resources were at, who to go to, who's the main point of contact, which was very helpful with the also that the fact that the OHAP, which is Office of Homelessness and Poverty Prevention, it's the concept of us finding a way of getting a seamless way of navigating our clients to these partnerships and these services, where they felt always like they were judged as immediately as they come into their office. Beyond that, I'm there. I'm always receiving their calls day to day, even through incarceration at DLC. I go out to the facilities. I go to DLC, the women's shelter, Hagatnya lockup as well, and to meet with our clients. The clients even calls me daily. They have the opportunity to use our PayTel to contact me, and knowing that they're going through some issues inside in our DLC facilities, and doing a sick call to note that some of our clients are detoxing without the proper appropriate services. And so that's where Guam Behavioral will be is such a help, being in the annex to assist our clients and to do an intake and referral. And so we can get ready to get these clients out into service. And just like getting the intake, it will definitely get them to the Lighthouse Recovery Center, or the factor of getting the Women Rehabilitation Center, or even to the fact of getting our clients help with their mental health. That is one full direction that I would love to continue to promote and to provide social support services support at Public Defender. And also they utilize me from Public Defender to the alternate Public Defender, as well as Civil Law Center. So hopefully we can get more social workers to bring more services, and to give our clients the opportunity to be recognized that, we all make mistakes, we all make bad choices in our lives, and to give it a second chance. So I thank Public Defender for bringing this in. It's a great opportunity to advocate for those who have no voice, or who are not looked at as being understood and marginalized.
Yeah,
Thank
well, no, thank you, Rose, for willing to take on the task of being our first social worker. Hopefully you won't be our only social worker, because it really does take a village. And
Definitely.
I think your approach really exemplifies that, right? We get a client that comes in with facing a criminal charge, but what caused the criminal charge are all these factors, and that you help attack all these factors and eliminate them as potential factors in the future. And so in doing so, you rely on, like, WestCare or MR costs, or Catholic Social Service. You basically get them services, get them IDs, you try to help get them homes, somewhere to stay, and get them stable, so that they don't have to commit certain types of offenses going forward in the future. And so really that holistic approach is not something that defense firms have always done in the past. Usually we just, like, resolve your case and move on to the next individual. But we started to see that people keep coming back in the system, and mainly it's because they have issues, right? Like with poverty and with not getting the kind of treatment that they really need. And so this holistic approach really, it really does take a village approach. And we're hoping that we can, prevent and reduce recidivism by providing services in the front end, not in the back end once you're already in jail after committing a serious offense, right? So I think
Yes.
our success should be in preventing and reducing crime, and not necessarily how many years in jail someone serves to pay, as punishment, right? So thank you for all the hard work you do, and really thank you to all the other service providers out there who help our social worker, fulfill her mission and help our clients ultimately.
It
All right.
does really take a village. We wouldn't have done it without with our clients, without the help of our shareholder, service providers. Those are advocating, family members who are wanting to help and make a difference, and supporting their family members that have made bad choices, or have some issues that they needed to deal with, whether mental health or some trauma that they experienced in their life. And the factor is that they end up committing certain charges that they didn't have to, if they had to receive the services they needed.
Okay. And so people might want to know, how do you contact us? Where are we located? And so we have a panoramic view of the MVP commercial buildings. On the far right is PDSC, APDs in the middle, and on the far left is the Civil Law Center. We're all separate, but we're all in the general vicinity. But fortunately, we're separate from each other to maintain the conflict walls that we've established. As far as the Public Defender Service Corporation, we're open regular government of Guam 8 to 5 hours. We're located at the right side of that photo, and our phone number is 475-3100. We even have a website, www.guampdsc.org, if you want to check us out online. All right. And then alternate public defenders right in the middle, at the MVP commercial building on the first floor. Their phone number is 475-3234, and their website is www.guamapd.org. And so you can get information about their services at their website as well. And then, of course, the Civil Law Center, they're in Suite 104 of that same building. And their website is www.guamclc.org. And they have an easy to remember phone number, 969-3131. So if you're a Manumco, or if you need a protective order, call that number or come to this office and we'll provide you the services you need. Any questions from any panelists or people in the audience, or did we get any messages on YouTube?
I'm checking now. We have from our Guam Homeless Coalition chairperson, Samantha Titano, Biba, PDSC, and then I went during Rose's presentation. Thank you, Rose. But no questions so far on either the Q&A for the Zoom or the live on YouTube yet.
Okay, great. How about you, Jackie? Did you have any questions?
No, at this moment, I don't have any particular questions. Thank you guys so much for the presentation. That was really very informative, and I know it's going to be useful to a lot of us once we save it onto the YouTube page to refer to it later on if we had any other questions regarding the presentation and the services and how to access those. Thank you guys so much for sharing all that with everybody.
And this is our final photo of our team at our most recent conference. And from our entire team, we would like to thank you for allowing us to be a part of It Takes a Village. And so we look forward to relying on some of the other members of the village, and also the other members of the village, to come to us for whatever help that we can provide. And isn't it great that Sammy's retired as the director of Manalo, so she has more time to spend with the Guam Homeless Coalition. So we look
More time
forward.
for, yes.
She's gonna love that. Anyways, thank you. And you know how to reach us, right?
Yes, thank you for sharing the contact information. So once again, once we end the Zoom, everything will be saved onto the Guam Homeless Coalition's YouTube page. So anybody can refer to that. Sami Lesagum says Biba PDSC. That was in the Q&A section. Thank you, Sam. So thank you again, Mr. Hattori and the PDSC team for sharing all that information with us. I don't see any other questions right now. Yes, thank you guys. And we'll see you on Friday at the summit.
And
Yes.
Jackie, if there's any inquiries on like presentations or anything
Mhm.
else, services that they want from our office, just give us a call as well.
Yes, thank you. Yes, well, once it's saved, it'll be very easy to access. Everybody can just go on there and scroll to the very last few minutes and see the contact information. Thank you guys again so much
Right.
for today's presentation.
Thank you, Guam Homeless
Thanks, Jackie.
Coalition.
You guys.
All right.